Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of United Talks Podcast. And today we are going to be analyzing the press conference from Rúben Amorim, ahead of the Tottenham Hotspur game. Pretty much interesting game that we're looking for, and the headliner for the presser is really deep and straightforward, and basically what Rúben Amorim is saying ahead of the game. It's a part one of a press conference, so most people kind of get the full sense of what Amorim is thinking about ahead of that game. But also, we will analyze it and break it down. And it's basically the redemption mission and turning pain to power for Rúben Amorim. So, yeah, well, you'll see the clips of the press conference on our channel. And then feel free to like, share, subscribe. If you're watching this video and watched to this point, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't have to miss anything as it relates to Manchester United, all things Manchester United. And also, if you've watched to this point as well, I just want to say thank you for supporting this channel so far to where we are. We're building a solid community and we'll continue to grow together. I've been a bit under the weather for the past couple of days, but I'm feeling a lot better now, as you can hear from my voice and stuff. But yeah, thank you so much for liking. Thank you so much for subscribing. Also, do not forget to share and turn on the notification bell so you don't have to miss anything that we post with regards to everything Manchester United. So today, like I said, we're going to be giving you like a breakdown of everything that Rúben Amorim had to say. So stop whatever you're doing for a second. That's what Rúben Amorim said in his pre-match press conference, ahead of Manchester United's clash with Tottenham Hotspur might just be the clearest window yet into his mindset, his rebuild, and the new Manchester United that is, forming before our eyes. We're talking about redemption, we're talking about resilience, we're talking about rebuilding from pain. So redemption, resilience, and rebuilding. I mean, because Amorim, this weekend isn't just another Premier League fixture. It's the first meeting with Spurs since the heartbreaking night at Bilbao, under previous manager Ange Postecoglou. Now, the Europa League final that just slipped through the fingers was that night at Bilbao, and now months later, Amorim isn't running from that pain; he's using it. So let's break down, right here on United Talks Podcast, how everything panned out. Now, the opening of the conference, the opening question of conference was with regards to confidence, and when he was asked how confident his team is going into the weekend, Amorim's tone was calm, very assured and deeply aware of what was at stake. Basically, he says, "I think we are more confident. We believe," he said, "and we believe more that we can win any game, and we have proved it already, but we also know that we have a lot to prove." That's classic Amorim, grounded, optimistic. I mean, we've heard this several times on this channel. It's the kind of leadership that Manchester United have craved for years. For those who don't know and haven't understood or gotten what is going on, I think you're kind of behind and you're missing out on what is going on. If you like, for those who don't back the channel and back the manager, I respect your opinion and stuff, but you're missing out on a lot. So he's not blinded by the recent form. He has acknowledged the flaws, especially against Nottingham Forest. United dominated the first half and faded later, and he admits that the energy wasn't the same, and that's what makes this version of Man United different. Amorim is building a team that's learning how to manage games emotionally, not just tactically. He's not talking about possession or formations. He's talking about just mentality as a whole. And then we're talking about the chaos, in the next part of the questions. I was talking about coping with chaos, and one of the more revealing moments came when Amorim was asked about whether he can now trust his team to cope with the bad starts or the chaotic spells in games, and he says, "I think it's a little bit of both." He replied, he says, "We can manage the game better now. We can always change from one moment that we are struggling, and we can change that. Sometimes the individuals can help us to change that." So he's talking about like when we are having bad spells and having situations in the game or bad moments in the game, he believes that individuals can actually, especially those with experience, can actually help us come out of those bad moments. He says, think about that for a second. I mean, basically, when you think about it, right, for a second, he says, basically, sometimes the individuals can help us change that. That is the bad moments that we find in the game. And that's Amorim giving a quiet nod to the impact players, obviously. The Brunos of this day, the Cunhas of this day, the Maguires of this day, the ones who can actually flip a match with one spark of brilliance. But he's also highlighting some deeper like deeper things and deeper mentalities basically within the team, that is kind of like a collective growth, a team learning to stay calm when things don't go their way. And that's what Amorim is desiring for this team, and that's what United didn't have in Bilbao. In Bilbao we had control. In Bilbao we had like everything, but Tottenham just one bullet and boom, we're gone. So now he's trying to make sure that we never collapse like that again. So we need to take the game by the scruff of the neck and deal with it. So, which brings us to the Bilbao redemption arc, which is next section of this press conference with regards to the next question that he was asked. He said, when asked about the Europa League final, that's the 1-0 defeat to Spurs, Amorim didn't shy away. He says, we're a better team now, we play better, we understand the game better, and we are more confident. He said, I expect a different game and we can play better, but also to have a little bit of luck to help us win. So it's the subtle but powerful attitude that Amorim is going into that game with. So there's a quiet acceptance here. There's an understanding that football isn't just about tactics, sometimes about margins, like tiny margins and all that can change games. And on that night in Bilbao, the margins were against Man United, but he's not bitter. He's focused on evolution. Like he's reminding everyone, United aren't just healing, they are improving, and they learn from that pain. And in that game, we didn't have the forward line that we have now. We didn't have the forward line that is so powerful and that presses together, right? And we've not had the last 4 games that we've had, right? Being unbeaten in 4, who would have thought, same points with its teams on third, fourth, and fifth, right? 1 point away from second and third, right? And that's, starting to show in the way that we press, in the way that we manage the tempo, and even in the, in the way that we have patience, when games are getting messy. The match against Spurs isn't a revenge. It is basically a renewal. So it's more than just a revenge. It's deeper than that. Then it takes us to the next section with regards to fitness of the squad depth and the consistency. And this is another theme that Amorim touched on, which was, the fitness, like I said. And this is where, the benefit of no European football actually really comes into focus. And he was asked with regards to that, saying, oh, now that you don't have European football, what is that the reason why you don't? I mean, he said something that he was asked, compared to last season, United have lesser injuries and all of that. And then he was like, what's the reason for that? And he's like, and the truth is, other managers will say, we're doing better, we're managing the load and stuff. No, Amorim came out straight and said the truth. He said it's 1 game a week. He explained, he says you can give an extra day to players who could struggle in the next training, and I think that's the biggest reason we have fewer injuries, right? So it's the first time in years United fans can actually say the sentence fewer injuries. I mean, for years we've been complaining about injuries, and other teams say no, it's not an excuse, and now other teams are having injuries and they're like, oh, that's an excuse. So it's like, yeah, everybody, since you use the same narrative for Man United, you better use the same narrative all through to other teams. Right? Amorim has managed to stabilize the squad, rotate smartly, and also balance workload, something his predecessors constantly failed at. Right? He's honest. He is very honest enough to admit that there's a bit of luck as well involved, because he said that there's a bit of luck involved. He's also highlighting something else: United's new rhythm. Right, a week between matches means that there's more preparation, more recovery, and more control. and it's actually showing in the performances. There's a cleaner structure for those who said there was no structure at the club, a sharper pressing, and a fewer muscle injuries. And that's not a coincidence. That's actually management. It's not a coincidence that we had fewer injuries. It's actually proper team management and all of that. Then we also have to talk about the defensive honesty, which is another section of the press conference that, with regards to the questions that he was asked, Amorim didn't scapegoat the flaws. When asked about the defense, he was very blunt. He says, yeah, it's a problem when you have talented players. If you don't defend well, if you defend well, one opportunity can win you the game, but we need to defend better and we need to be more aggressive. And I also talked about defending in both boxes as well. That's accountability right there, right? He's not protecting the players and not throwing them under the bus either, just telling it like it is, telling it like all too honesty, and all too honest basically in all of this. He's mentioned, specifically the lack of pressure on crosses and the sloppy details around the box, things that he says the team worked on all week. That's basically what he said. The things that we had as problems in the last game, we worked on them this week, right? Stuff like that. And here's the key. Sometimes when you defend better, you attack better. That's what he said. Now, that's Amorim's footballing philosophy in one sentence. Control both ends of the pitch, both boxes as the case may be, and the rest will follow. Right? Now, which takes us to the next section of the press conference with regards to turning pain to progress. He said, and this was actually one of the standout moments when a journalist asked him whether there were any positives from losing to the Europa League final and missing out on Europe or missing out on European football. Amorim didn't just flinch. He didn't flinch at all. He says it's not the fact of seeing the positives. He said it's not using the positives. It's using the positives, not just seeing that there are positives, but also using the positives. Any situation in life, you can look at it in a positive way or in a bad way, or kind of like what you're saying in a negative way, right? And that's the line of the week. He admits that, of course, he would rather be in the Champions League with more money. He said it, with more money, or with the money, with the glamour, with the challenge, with the players, with more players and all of that. But since that's not the case, we are using it, or he's using it, as he says, using the time to build chemistry, to connect the staff, to set the foundations basically for United's next era. And this is Amorim just turning failure into fuel, and that's leadership and that's culture, and that's a cultural reset that is actually needed for the team to thrive, right? Which takes us to just about the last section before we conclude on what all things that Amorim had to say, and which is the most important section. Well, when I say the most important, most interesting section to see, because when Cristiano Ronaldo made statements during the week, I think this was on Tuesday or Wednesday, with Piers Morgan, everyone is expecting what Rúben Amorim would have said with regards to the statements. It came the question that everybody was waiting for, like, what will Rúben Amorim say? And that was with regards to Ronaldo's comments. The question was around like, your former teammate Cristiano Ronaldo made some comments about you are doing a good job but you can't work miracles, and then he also said that some players don't have Manchester United in their hearts, with regards to that, the legend praised Amorim, saying that he's doing a good job but can't perform miracles. That's facts. While also criticizing some players' mentality. I'm now thinking, which of the players' mentalities are you questioning? Because if you have to question the mentalities of the player, call out the names. Let's see. Because in truth, you can't tell me that this team that have fought for 4 games and won 3 and drawn 1, they're having mentality issues. They don't have Manchester United in their heart. Like, who are those? These players that look like they're bonding together and playing really well. Who is the person that doesn't have have we not removed those people that don't have Manchester United in their heart? Well, Amorim's response was pure class. And that's why I've refused to comment on Cristiano Ronaldo's comments, because I was just going to get annoyed, and I respect him. I just don't want that to kind of soil the respect I have for him. So, yeah. Honestly, Rúben Amorim's response was pure class. He knows he has a huge impact with everything he says. That's what Rúben Amorim replied. We made a lot of mistakes in the past, but we are trying to change that. Very humble response. Let's not focus on what happened. Let's focus on what we are doing now. Forward mentality. That's a very good way to handle it. That's how you handle comments like that. No controversy, no emotion, just direction. Because the truth is, you talk now, it creates a whole lot of distraction, and the team now loses focus, and they're like, oh, it's now be a battle of words between Cristiano Ronaldo and Rúben Amorim. He's stating and steering United away from drama and toward discipline. So like, focus on the job at hand, forget about all those side comments, and that's how you change the club's culture. One message at a time, one game at a time, one day at a time. So to wrap this all up, just to give you like an overview of what Rúben Amorim's press conference was all about. When you listen to Rúben Amorim this week, you're not just listening or hearing a coach who is preparing for a game, you're hearing a leader reshaping Manchester United's identity. He's turning heartbreak into hope, mistakes into lessons, and criticisms into clarity. Now, the game against Tottenham Hotspur isn't just a rematch, it's a mirror. A reflection of how far this United team have come since Bilbao and how much further they can go. And maybe, just maybe, that's what rebuilding a giant really looks like. So, let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section. This is United Talks Podcast. And if you've enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to share, and don't forget to comment below your thoughts. Tell us your thoughts below. And is this the moment that Rúben Amorim finally proves that his project is working? Even though we see the positives, we see the progress and all of that, is this the moment? So, thank you so much for watching. And as always, glory, glory, Manchester United. Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing. I'd like to know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.